Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
And just one quick thing before we get started. I do apologize if I sound a little bit weird. Reason being is that I don't have my face in. So I've been a little under the weather these last couple of days. So when we got started on doing this particular episode, I was actually cleaning my fake teeth. So they've got to sit around for a bit. So, but we need to get this done because we're a little behind because of me. So, my fault. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Hatman, should we start with politics or entertainment?
I'm thinking entertainment this time.
Okay. Well, there's a lot more questions for this. Some of them are pretty quick. John Weitzel asks, if Sargon asked me to do a live This Week in Stupid, would I do so? Well, if he brought This Week in Stupid live to Illinois and asked me to stop by, I would not say no. Well, unless you're talking about a live stream, in which case, yeah, I wouldn't say no to that either.
Well, easy enough.
Yeah. Hardboiled Entertainment asks, is Brian Michael Bendis going to be the only Superman writer for now, or can we expect other runs like Action Comics? No, he is the Superman writer. He's writing both comics.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's... What really pisses me off is, there was no reason to drop the previous, writers of the Superman books at all. Like, they just said, yeah, we're going to hire Brian Michael Bendis and we're going to put him on Superman. Why? They never explained. Because he's Bendis. Yeah, because Bendis. Well, so, fuck comic book readers. We're going to get this decompressed shit. And, yeah, it's horrible. It is.
And now we got freaking G. Willow Wilson writing Wonder Woman.
Yeah, they are... the only way that it could get worse is if they got rid of Tom King and put Mark Waid on Batman.
Oh God, please, no. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, like that or Zoe Quinn on Batman. So, yeah, many people have said it, and I've agreed with them from the get-go, is that DC Comics is just as capable of going full-on social justice warrior as Marvel is. That is just the state of entertainment in the year of our Lord 2018. So, yeah, that sucks. This is an interesting one. From Black Knight Rex, he asks, do we have any thoughts on Bethesda using Liberty Prime to celebrate the 4th of July and the shit fit that people threw over it? I think it's awesome, because Liberty Prime is fucking amazing.
I have no idea what a Liberty Prime is. I'm guessing this is a Fallout thing.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I can't into Fallout, so...
Oh my god, Hatman.
I can't get into them.
Communist detected on this podcast. How can you not get into Fallout?
I can't. It's something about the gameplay. I mean, I have the same problem with Elder Scrolls, and maybe it's just totally open world games that I just feel kind of like overwhelmed by everything. Like I need some degree of linearity to them. But then again, like I can play games like Grand Theft Auto or even like Super Metroid, no problem.
Well, yeah, that's weird, because I would say that Grand Theft Auto has more freedom to it than Fallout does.
I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. I just can't get into it. And I've tried to. I tried freaking Fallout 3 and New Vegas and like all of the, well, not all the Elder Scrolls games. Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim. I can't get into any of them.
Well, to each their own, but the basic idea of what Liberty Prime is it is a giant communist killing robot.
So, people threw a shit fit over an anti-communist robot celebrating the 4th of July.
Yep.
Well, I think that kind of says something about them, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Fire up the helicopters, boys.
No, fire up Liberty Prime. Liberty Prime is better than a helicopter. Because you got to keep in mind, this is like an 80-foot robot with laser eyes.
Oh, Jesus.
And on top of that, it gets better. It has giant atomic bombs on its back that it throws like footballs. Now you see why people like it.
Truly the hero we need and deserve.
Exactly. That's why everybody loves Liberty Prime.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, you need to, if nothing else, you need to look up YouTube videos on Liberty Prime and you'll fall in love instantly. It's great.
Yeah. The only people that could hate something like that are fucking communists.
Exactly. Anyway. So, alright, here's an interesting one. From Eclectic 1995. He says, if a creator of a passion project dies, then should it be dropped and remain unfinished? Or should the studio or fans attempt to complete it?
Ooh, that is interesting. I say it depends on a couple of factors. Like, how far along was the project? If we're talking like, it was towards its end, then yeah, obviously finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But if like there was any sort of natural conclusion that could be drawn, then go ahead and leave it there. Like, think of Redwall, for example. Like, Brian Jakes didn't really get to finish the whole thing,
mm-hmm.
but it ended after he died.
Yeah.
So that's something. And then there's also the idea that if it continues, will it go like really far beyond what the creator intended? Like, for example, think of like Game of Thrones. Once George R.R. Martin actually decides to finish the fucking series, I'm quite certain somebody is going to like take up that mantle afterwards and continue on, whether he's dead or alive. Probably dead. But it's not necessarily the best thing to do. Like, if it's already reached an endpoint, any sort of endpoint, I think no, don't continue it. Just don't fucking do it. But if it needs a conclusion, like, I don't see a problem with it, but you still have to be really fucking careful.
See, if I recall correctly, like with the Wheel of Time books, the creator of those, he died before he could publish the last one, and his son ended up writing it.
Yeah. Was it the very last one, or was it like the last couple of them?
Last one or last two, I don't remember which. I never read them, so I can't really say.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'm aware of them, but I've never read them.
Well, I just remember back when I was married over 10 years ago. I mean, my wife at the time, she comes to me and she says, "We're gonna go to the library." I'm like, "All right, sure, let's go. I'm gonna pick up a couple graphic novels," and so I grabbed a couple, and then she grabbed this book, called The Wheel of Time, and then slaps it down in front of me. She's like, "I'm gonna be occupied for a while." I'm like, "Well, that's great, but this is the new series you're going to be reading?" And she goes, "Yeah, there's 7 books." I'm like, "That's a tome!" I'm like, "It's as big as a fucking bell curve!" And you're gonna read 8 of them? What is wrong with you? Well, it turns out there were a lot of things wrong with my ex-wife. So,
No.
but needless to say, yeah, like I would hope that a creator would have at least like in his will what he would want done with it.
Yeah.
Like, just from the stuff that I'm writing and planning out, I can tell you right now that I would, if I started publishing these comics I want to publish, I would have a will drawn up and then say who I want to write them and finish the series.
But anyway, no, the Millennium series, I think is what it's called. The girl with the dragon tattoo and
Yeah.
all those books. Yeah, the guy who was writing those just like died out of nowhere. So, I mean, if you can put a will together to, I guess, name your successor, right? Yeah, but then when shit like that happens, there's not a whole hell of a lot you could really do.
True. Yeah, it's not like anybody really anticipates dying unless you got cancer or something. So,
yeah, that's true.
but regardless, yeah, I have no problem with people taking it up. I would just hope that the person taking it up would be someone who knew the author or knew the creator, so that they have an idea of where it should go from here, as opposed to just some rando picking it up or what have you, or somebody who gets their hands on the estate.
Yeah. I mean, if you have like something that's a large sort of universe, like Lord of the Rings or even like Star Wars, I think that's better off because you can go in like a whole bunch of different directions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, provided your name isn't Ryan Johnson, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do feel kind of strongly about if a main story is not completed, like, well, not complete. If a main story is completed, then yeah, you don't fuck with it beyond that.
Yeah. All right, next question. 'Cause I think we've kind of said all we really need to say on that one. CT117 asks, do you think it's stupid that there are some conservatives that are saying it's wrong to be a fan of Disney? Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
It's wrong to be a fan of Disney?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking why? How?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because of what's going on with Star Wars, or the fact that a lot of the people who run it are on the left, and so on and so forth. And
oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard that from like anybody that I usually listen to, so I'm assuming it's probably from some crackpot, or just for some YouTube commentator who's not like a well known. So
yeah, it's possible. Though I remember like some rumblings like saying, "Oh no, Disney's just all for the left and for liberals because you know they had the gay days in Disney World, and after what happened with like ABC Family or Freeform or whatever the fuck it's called now, you know, just I remember all that bullshit, but that was very, very niche.
Yeah,
that was not at all a mainstream thing.
Well, my thing is twofold. When it comes to the LGBT stuff, that's just marketing.
Yeah,
that's really all it is. It's another way for a company to say we're nice. Let me give you an example. Somebody had mentioned to me that I know that works at State Farm here in town, because where I live is State Farm headquarters. He said that they've got an LGBT, like they have this thing on their monitor say, we celebrate Pride Month. And there's barely anybody there who's gay, who works there. Like maybe one or two people that you'll meet in a department, maybe. And needless to say, it really is just, and it's like I'm in Central Illinois. There's not really that much of a big LGBT crowd, even in the big cities of Central Illinois. So what's the point of the statement? Well, it's just to say, oh, we're nice. Okay, well, we won't crucify you, I guess. It's just sort of the way it is. But LGBT at this point is just marketing. That's really all it is. So that's why I personally don't get bothered by this sort of stuff, unless I had kids and like there's some dude walking through Disneyland in assless chaps, in which case I'm gonna call the cops, but because that's public indecency. But
yeah,
the point being that I don't get that. I think that there are some people that are on the right on the internet space that say a lot of really dumb stuff, and that's why I don't listen to a lot of people on the internet space. Because that's oftentimes why when people ask me, have you watched X, Y, or Z person, the answer is usually no.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, have you listened to ex-Catholic guy? No. Why not? Why aren't you Catholic, Micah? You see the Pope? Pretty much that. Look up the history of the papacy. Pretty much that. Look up Martin Luther. Pretty much that.
But Micah, the Crusaders were Catholic.
Yes, and?
How can you say Deus Vult if you're not Catholic, Micah?
Protestants can read the Vulgate. I have a copy of it.
But can they take Jerusalem?
Of course. We would be able to do it without some group going rogue and going after a bunch of Jewish people for no damn reason either.
True.
Alright. Final question for entertainment. Crystal Wing 2149 asks, what would you think if Netflix made a Jurassic Park series that's more faithful to the original novel? And have I read it? Fucking right, I've read the original novel. I love Michael Crichton. He's one of my favorite fiction writers. Dude, I love Jurassic Park and the Lost World, the books. The fucking, I don't like the movies that much, oddly. Well, the first one was okay. The second, I hate the Lost World movie. Like, Velociraptor killed with gymnastics, fuck you. So, no, Michael Crichton's was an awesome writer. Because he's got Jurassic Park, Eaters of Men. God, what was the name of it that he did? That was a movie got made based on it with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes. I want to say it was Rising Sun.
I know he did the original Westworld movie.
Yes.
Didn't he do like The Strain too?
He did a lot of good stuff. He did a book based on the Grey Goo concept called Prey, and he did that in 2002. Let's see.
That was like, damn, that wasn't long before he died.
But yeah, Rising Sun, Congo Sphere, Eaters of the Dead, The Terminal Man, The Andromeda Strain.
There we go, Andromeda Strain is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he was something special. And yeah, he did the original story that that Westworld is based on, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Rising Sun is probably my favorite, my favorite book that he's ever done, but there's a lot of really good ones. But yeah, part of my problem with a lot of the stories of his that got adapted is that they really didn't stay very faithful to it. Like Timeline. Timeline was ridiculously fucking violent, the book. And then the film comes out, and it's this PG-13 castrated mess. That was just shit. So, yeah.
Same with Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was a whole lot more fucking violent. I mean, like, fucking Nedry straight up, like, gets his stomach ripped open.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's pretty fucking nuts.
Yeah, I would love a Netflix series that was very faithful to the original source material. I would love it. I'd love that of just anything Crichton in general. Oddly enough, I don't think I've read through Prey yet. I have it. It's a huge book. Probably one of his longest novels. I just haven't had time to read it. But yeah, I'd be all over it, man. The only film that really got close to the original vision of one of his books was Rising Sun. But then again, it was a rated R crime drama, so it was allowed to. But yeah, I'm all over it, man. Give me. Okay. Are you ready for politics, Hatman?
Let's do it.
Hardboiled Entertainment asks, have you heard of these Libertarian Socialists? I swear they're an actual thing. That's an oxymoron.
I don't fucking understand. It's to me, it just sounds more like just general anarchism. Like they want to, They want to be anarchists, or it's a nicer way of saying anarcho-socialist, which is also basically fucking impossible.
Yes. Socialism cannot be implemented without a giant government.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what a big, like, feature of socialism is. They try to say the concept of, oh, well, everybody's a community and everybody works together. Well, that's communism.
Yeah. How the fuck are you going to enforce any sort of policy? How are you going to enforce the from each according to his ability bit?
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to oversee that? It's got to be somebody.
Yeah.
Do you really expect everyone to be of one mind? Humans? Have you interacted with any of us? People can't even agree on what they want for breakfast.
Exactly. There needs to be some degree of organization.
Yeah. So, yeah, people who say that sort of shit are retarded. Jerry, no username, just Jerry. Well, hi, Jerry. He asks, do we think constitutional conservatives and libertarians could form a strong coalition in response to socialists? I'm a Ron Paul style libertarian myself. I think we're already in the process of it.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way.
I think that there's a lot of crossover between current modern day conservatism or American conservatism and libertarianism. There's not that much that separates us.
I mean, look at Rand Paul, for example.
Yeah, he's a very good example. And Mike Lee and Ted Cruz, both, though they're both religious men, a lot of their belief systems skirt towards libertarianism in regards to size of government.
Yep.
And I think that's sort of what the common bond between both groups is that there is just a desire for constitutional originalism when it comes to the courts, to have the federal government reduce its own size and to let the states start to take back over and things along those lines. And yeah, I think that it's there. The big thing is that the libertarians need to be willing to take themselves seriously. That's my big problem. When you have this guy who's presenting your presidential nominees on stage as a fat guy in a fucking thong dancing around, you have discredited your own fucking party. And you wonder why people didn't take you seriously. Then, of course, you have, what is Aleppo? I'm Gary Johnson, and I'm high all the time. Gary Johnson ran a presidential campaign in the 1 year where people would be more interested in libertarianism than ever as an alternative. Ran a campaign based solely on federal legalization of marijuana, which is not a libertarian position. Well, it is a libertarian position, but there's nothing libertarian about it.
It's
because a federal law would take away state autonomy. It's not what libertarians generally want, not the minarchists. But this was an interesting statement that Rocking Mr. E had made, is that there's a difference between libertarians and lawlbertarians, which were basically ANCAPs, who have no morality whatsoever. Because Austin Peterson
decriminalize heroin.
Yeah, well, yeah, Austin Peterson was asked this question. I was watching the libertarian debates, and Austin Peterson was asked a question of, would you make it legal to sell heroin to a 7-year-old? And he said no, and he got booed. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's...
That's not libertarianism. That's sociopathy. You're a sociopath if you want that to happen. Like, that's disgusting. What the fuck is wrong with you? But that's the problem. Is that libertarian, like, again, there's a lot of ANCAPs who really, every ANCAP I've ever listened to, I understand their arguments for reduction of government and how government sucks and all that stuff. And I generally agree. But once you start getting into the idea that we should cut out government altogether, I think you're insane. There has to be someone to protect the public trust. There has to be. There's going to need to be. I'm perfectly fine with it being as small as possible, but yeah, I think that libertarians and conservatives have a lot of crossover, but there's no crossover between the ANCAPs and conservatives, which why a lot of the ANCAPs that I've seen either gave up being ANCAPs, like I think Lauren Southern did, or they went alt-right like James Alsop did.
Yeah.
So, final question. Eclectic 1995 wants to know, do we think it's a good idea for the United States to invade Venezuela? I heard some rumors it's being considered. That would be a terrible idea. Waste of resources.
Yeah. No. Don't fucking bother. Unless Venezuela is about to come after us or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Nah. They'll sort themselves out in time. Like there's enough people that are pissed that a revolution is inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
It'll get sorted out. It's just a matter of when.
The big thing that I would say, the only way that it would happen is if like they attacked Puerto Rico or something like that. Then we would probably go after them and depose the current government, because by UN regulation that means that they have lost their sovereignty. You're not allowed to invade another nation. So, but no, that would be one of the biggest mistakes I think we could make right now, is even intervening, unless you want to buy Venezuela. Which, like I've said, Hatman and I have volunteered. We'll buy Venezuela. If people raise enough money...
that for $1.
Yeah, exactly. We'll buy it for $1. And then what we'll do is we'll put Maduro on a donkey and then put a sign on his back in Spanish that says, "Two jackasses." And we'll make him march around Venezuela while we fix everything. Oddly enough, I just came up with that right off the top of my head. Oh man. So, but yeah, that would be a terrible, terrible idea. They're gonna have to unfuck themselves at this point.
Yeah. Just like with Mexico. Mexico needs to unfuck themselves too, but.
Well, all of Latin America needs to at this point. And
yeah.
Oddly enough, there was an interesting thing. I was playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is set, I think, in Bolivia. Yeah, Bolivia. And there's a statement that is made by the lead character. He goes, "Why the fuck are all these revolutionaries down here commies? When that's the same system that fucked them in the first place." But that's usually what the problem is either South American nations are either run by the cartels or they're run by communists. Neither one fucking works. So...
We're run by, like, military dictators before communists took over, so...
Yeah, basically. So, there's... These nations are going to have to figure themselves out. That's basically it. And they refuse to do so, for whatever reason.
Yep.
At some point, Latin America is just going to have to realize that communism sucks, cartels suck, and the only way to do that is to clean up your country and then start drilling holes because you're sitting on a fuck ton of oil! Morons.
I'll take a few notes from Pinochet.
No, because he was just as bad. Just in a different direction. Though,
helicopters.
I was about to say, we are here in favor of helicopters, because that's the most hilarious way to kill someone. How much do you have to hate someone to fuel your helicopter up, fire up the engines, get a pilot, go in, drag the motherfucker in there, go up about a few thousand feet, and then chuck him out, when you could have taken one bullet? Holy shit, man.
It's entertainment, man. It's entertainment.
Yeah. Well, that's just my point. It's like, holy God. That's one way to get rid of somebody, that's for sure. I'm gonna chuck this guy out of a fucking helicopter. Why not? Ugh.
Also a pretty memorable scene from Scarface, too.
Yes. Yes, it was. All right. Well, that is the end. To say the least. So, Hatman, before we take off, do you have any final words?
Yeah.
Aside from remember my teeth next time.
Well, that, but also go get some donuts. Donuts are good.
I can't have donuts.
Well, fuck, what can you have?
No bread.
How about steak? Can you eat steak?
Once I put my teeth in.
Go get a steak once you put your teeth in.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And then we'll be back this coming Saturday, which is tomorrow, to go over some fun stuff on the podcast. But until that time, my name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hat Man.
And we'll see you guys soon. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.